Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial quick bit. In this very quick tutorial I will show you how to very quickly create some grass inside of Speedtree and how to import it into Unreal and set it up. Now I will show you two variations, one of them which is a bit higher poly but nicer quality, and one of them that is lower poly but of course quality will suffer a little bit. So for this, first I'm only gonna go over on how to actually create the grass. For our textures we will use a free resource. Now it all depends, there are multiple resources. One of them is Megascans. So Megascans is free if you are using Unreal Engine 4. However, if you want to use it outside of Unreal Engine, especially for commercial projects, there are licensings for that, so you will need to pay for it. But anyway, in Quixel, you would be able to go to atlases, and then in here you can go to grass, and you can find a bunch of different grass. Now before we go ahead, we will use Megascans, but before we use this, I want to show you two more. So the next one that we have is Substance Source. If you have a license, and that is not a student license, but just a professional license to any Substance program, you will get free credits for Substance Source. Inside of Substance Source you can scroll down, and there you will find atlases, and in here you should be able to find foliage, and you can just type in like grass for example. And you should be able to also over here find grass strains. The stuff that you want to find is this stuff. It's going to be like these thin grass strains. However, Substance Source is more focused on like scattering it around. So there are like usable grass strains, but most of them have a focus that you just want to scatter them around on a material. The last one is textures.com. In textures.com you are able to get a free account up to 15 credits free. And you are able to go to 3D Atlas scans, and here you can for example go to grass, and here you will also have scanned grass. Now this stuff you would be able to once again just like click on it, and then you can get only the low resolutions. For the higher resolutions you will need to pay, but you will be able to get like some low resolution grass pieces. So we are going to use Megascans because I find that for grass Megascans seems to have like the most options. Now you want to create some grass. What I want to do is first of all just create like some strains. So swamp grass, maybe not. I do want to go for like a little bit thicker grass, but something that is quite interesting looking. Let's go for example for this one, this grass. Now with Unreal open, with your project open, you just want to go ahead and download it. And then you want to go ahead and you want to export it, and it will just automatically export to Unreal. So the reason why we need to do this now is because if we just go ahead and go into our Megascans, atlases, grass, you want to go to your base color, right click and open the source location. Because these are the maps that we currently need in order to be able to create our grass. Now inside the Speedtree, what we want to do is first of all we need to create a new material that has our grass included. The way that we can do that is to our materials window up here, press the +/- sign and add a new material. We can go ahead and we can call this grass _a because I will make another variation. Press OK, and now all you need to do is in the color input your albedo map that you've just downloaded, and in your normal, oops, that's opacity, in your opacity, and in your normal. There are more nodes over here, but we don't really need them because I just need to have like some kind of a representation of the grass. Now I then want to go ahead and in main press two-sided because I would like to be able to see my grass from two sides. And now we need to apply meshes. Basically we need to create meshes that will follow our grass strains. The nice thing about Speedtree is that you can do this inside of Speedtree. So all you need to do is go to meshes, press edit, and then you will get this window. Now it will be very difficult to see anything in this window, but if you go to show opacity over here, you are able to then go in and you can basically just like move these red dots around. And if you want to have an extra red dot, for example this one goes curved, you can just click on the line and add like an extra one. And just like that you want to just very easily, here you go, create some grass strains like this. Now next to this you will need to set your pivot point. This is where the grass will spawn. So that is this yellow button. You can go ahead and move this yellow button, and if you want to rotate it you can over here go to like your angle and set like an angle. Now once that's done you can just go ahead and press this plus button over here, And because we are going to go to Unreal and because the grass is very low, I'm just going to add this to all my LODs, my low, medium and high. LODs are just the level of details. I will have a tutorial about this also, but it's basically meaning that your geometry gets optimized the further you get away from it in order to make it less expensive. So we now have a single grass train. Now what I want to do is I want to press Alt and I want to do this to like a few more. So I just need to get like a few different interesting looking grass trains. So I will go ahead and I will do this, but because of the spirit of a quick bit, I will do this off camera. Now one thing before I do that, I want to show you, let's say that over here I have accidentally placed an extra red dot. I can just go up here to the points and press the little X button and then I can paint it away. And then go back to select. See? So just in case if you do that, you can just go ahead and undo it. And then over here you can just go ahead and place this. You can zoom in because over here I have like it's applied it at a very strange location. Which it sometimes does. Sometimes you kind of like need to wiggle them around in order to make them register. And then once again set like your pivot point and apply this. Now I will go ahead and off camera I will do this for also this one, and let's say maybe like a thin one like this one. And of course you can add all of them. If you want more variation, just add more pieces. So I will be back right in a second. Here we go. We have a bunch of different grass pieces. Now, as I said before, this one is going to be the more higher poly version, which nowadays in games it is able to handle. Although, if you are working on a professional game, you probably have a special system for this. So, what we want to do, very easy. We just want to go into Tree, right click, add geometry to selected, and grab a very simple leaf mesh over here. Now, what I tend to do is I first of all already tend to like increase my number so that I can kind of like see how it works. You can do this just in all and it's the very first button over here, number. You can also play around with your modes. Every mode will place the grass slightly different. Once you've done that, you want to go ahead and go to your grass and just drag the little hand on here. And then what you will see is that it is rotated in the wrong way. For this, if you go to your orientation, you want to go ahead and go to final adjustments. And I always forget which one it is, not up, right? No, must be out. Out, that's the one. And you want to set out to 0.5. Now once you've done this, now we can go ahead and we can like add a bunch of variation to this. First of all, I like to go to generation up here. And I like to set my first and last over here lower. This basically means how far out we want this to generate. So if we generate this out like quite a bit closer, like you can see over here. It's really small, so it's a bit hard to zoom around. It will be quite a bit closer. Now for the rest, we want to go ahead and just, a bunch of variation. Most of these settings I don't really touch, because for grass they don't really do much. But like you can like roll stuff around. Rotation. No, rotation also not. One that I do like is the size scaler over here. So the size scaler will basically tell you how large your grass is going to be. Now I do like to set this like a little bit larger just in general to like 1.5. Because I'm going to scale this inside of Unreal. So this way it's a little bit more manageable. Because Speedtree is really focused on like large objects. Next I want to just go ahead and I want to like do some size variation. So although size scaler is going to be for the overall size. If we go to, where are you, skin? I always forget which one this is. Skin size, no. Orientation. Here we go. Orientation, deformation and scale. The reason I want to pick this one is because with this one, I can just change my Y position. And what I like to do is in my Y position, there's always like this little box next to it. And this box allows you to basically like add variation to it using a graph. So what I can do is I can double click and that adds a point. So if I move this point closer, you will see that there is variation being added. And that's basically what I do. I tend to just give like a very erratic looking graph, which will just add a bunch of variation. Now this variation also responds based upon inside to outside, meaning that if these go low, it's mostly the outsides that get affected. This is quite nice because with this way, often grass grows taller in the center and then it kind of like fades out. And you can do this exact same effect. So I can do this, where it just fades off. And if you want to get rid of a point, just click and just move it like, oh, down. Normally that works. Okay, this time it doesn't work. You should be able to just press delete also. Normally if you are in this view and you move it up very quickly, it just disappears, but just press delete is also fine. So we got like already some of that variation. Now let's just have some fun and just go through our settings. So in generation we are pretty much done. In skin, what we can do over here is we can do some folding and curling. The folding doesn't do much because of our rotation, but the curling should be able, see? It will be able to give us like a little bit of like this nice variation where they randomly just curl around. Once again, you can use this graph to like play around with it. Twisting, it allows you to twist it a little bit. And vertex allows you to give like a general noise to your scene. So you can very quickly just like create some very handy looking noise. Now our scale we already went over. And lighting is specific to Speedtree. We don't care about that. Orientation, you can play around with like your alignment if you want to have them like sticking out a little bit or something in that direction. I'm going to maybe give it like a tiny bit of an alignment, like 0.05 or something like that, just for some variation. Final adjustments we already went over. And over here the vertex, it is both in skin and in orientation. It's just duplicated. I personally often just use the AL. Now this one is most likely still using one single looking grass bit. If we go to material, we can go over here and then in grass, we can set this to be grass A cutout. This is how our mesh is called. So now it will really use one bit, but I like to do this. I like to always add multiple grass bits. And I will just set all of these to grass A in my material. But the goal for this is that if I then set this to cutout number 2, number 3, number 4 and number 5. Oh, I made one more. Now it will be completely it will have a lot of variation, but you can now play around with the weight, meaning that if I don't like one bit, I can always set the weight low, which means that it will be used less often. So in this case it's fine, but for example this one is like a really thick one and I can say like, okay, no, I don't want to use this one as much. Or actually I think it is this one over here. That is like the thick one. I'm not sure, but also if I like one a lot, I can just set it higher and I can like use it more often. So it's like a little balancing. Okay, that's enough talk. We have some very, very quick grass. Now all we need to do is, I am using Speedtree to Unreal Engine 4. It's a literal subscription. It's very cheap. It's like $12 per month or something like that. But the only thing is that it can only export to Speedtree, which in this case is fine. I just need to go to export. And I'm just going to export this into like my source files folder. Doesn't really matter. You can export it directly into Speedtree or into Unreal if you want. I'm just going to call this grass_detailed and press save. And then you will get this window. Now for our settings, we do not need an atlas because we will have our textures inside of Unreal Engine. If you set this to non-warping, what it will do is it will try to create an atlas for you. This is handy if you have multiple different leaf textures, for example. Now we don't need all of this stuff. Again, it's all just settings for atlas. The only thing we care about is that highest only is turned on. Because remember, I said that I was not going to export any LODs. And that your size is a tricky one. You kind of like need to figure it out. So we will start with 25. And then press OK. And then it will export our leaf. Now, if we go inside of Unreal, and here I just have like a quick little scene, as you can see. Here we go. Sorry, I just want to change something. And now what we can do is we can just go ahead and import this. So all you need to do is you have your grass_detailed.st. It tends to export also like your color and norm map, but we don't need it. You just want to go ahead and drag it in. And individual actors is fine. And press import. Now just drag it on here. And yeah, the size is not too bad. It is not too bad. So all we need to do for this one, the nice thing is that Megascan creates a material for us. Else you would need to create a material. So just open up your model over here. And let me just drag it down here. And now what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and go into your Megascan library. And here we have our grass. Just grab your model and enter it. And there we go. Here you have some nice looking grass. Of course you can make it a lot denser. You can place it around. You can even go ahead and you can do like, if you go to modes, foliage, it works with foliage painting. So you are able to drag in this actual model in your foliage and then paint with it. And I probably crashed Unreal because I did not change my settings, so it will try to place like, see, that's just what happens. It's because I forgot to change my settings, so it probably tried to place like thousands of them. In any case, I'm sure that you can take it from there. Now, if you want to create much more basic grass, what you can do is you can go ahead and go to File and New. And there is always like this basic preset over here, which is called grass. Now this preset is quite nice. You can remake the preset yourself, but it is just like a very basic grass preset. And all I'm going to tell you about this one is that if you, for example, go to, let's say we pick textures.com this time. You just want to grab these type of grass bits, which are like the very clumped up bits that are just placed here together. So let's say we grab like this one, for example. So let me just download, for example, my page color and normal Marmoset. Megascans also has this one. But let's say you grab these bits and just throw them into a folder. It is pretty much the same basic concept. All you need to do is create an, well, actually you can just reuse this material. Add your albedo, alpha and normal in here. And I don't like this material. Let me just quickly create a new one because they changed this material. So here we go. So like here, a fresh new material. Let's try that again. Albedo. See, now it is not looking so strange. Alpha and normal. Set it to two-sided. And then in your meshes, you can press edit and you just kind of like want to make sure that this mesh is not being cut off. So I can just go ahead and go like in here, like that, make sure the center is there. Same basic concept. You then go ahead and you can go into your materials and apply this. There you go, so some grass. And now it's just a matter of playing around with your settings. So you can go in your leaf mesh once again. You can set the last like lower. You can go ahead and like play around with your align. This one is of course a lot less flexible, but you can also play around with like your folding and all this stuff. To just in general get like something that looks a little bit more interesting like grass. This is great if you like only need some very, very distant grass. So I would say like play around with this. Since this is a quick bit tutorial, I will not really go into much more than this. You can make them smaller, stuff like that. But in general, this is like the old school way of creating grass. But nowadays we can handle quite a bit more polygon counts. And then you would export it to Unreal. For this stuff, you just need to create a very simple material that just has like an alpha and set the master material to be foliage two-sided in the render settings. But you can find plenty of stuff on that online. So that was this little bit too long, but still a nice quick bit tutorial. And I hope to see you for the next one.